Aba. Am I? No, no, say Aba. I'm finding here. Oh, okay.
It's all low volume. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Best Lounge. We are here again to discuss about gun and knife crimes. We started 3 weeks ago talking about the gun and knife crimes within our community and the society we're in now, and it's affecting ourselves, our children, and everyone. We had 3 weeks ago. We have a couple that came here to discuss about the issues about how they lost their son and what they went through. There was another brother here, and last week I had a different set also, and then we talk about the issues and how we could solve this gun and knife crimes. Today I've got a new set, which is going to be very special. I've got my two brothers here. I mean, we all have our views, and we're going to point out about what and how we could solve this situation going on with the gun and knife crimes. I mean, when you send your child to a school, when you send your child to get something from you, you still get scared because you don't know what's going to happen when they go out there. I'm Odinoho Dimpa, and
I'm Kofi Kula.
After watching.
Welcome, brothers. You and I know that there's so much that's going on in our society now that, I mean, we don't even know what the government is doing. We don't know what the family is doing. No one is knowing what they're doing because we all start in between, and things are still going on between our families and the children, our nephews. Even last week I got to hear something with even the girls also being in this business as well about this, so many things that's going on now. Basically, what are the main influences about gun crimes?
Thank you for this opportunity for us to be able to do this program in terms of the community and how knife and gun crime is affecting our young people. The main influence to me is in terms of our parenting, how we parent our children, and our availability for them. Gangs, young people get attracted to a number of things, and there's a number of theories and models behind this. Now, if you live in an environment, for instance, whereby your parents are not always at home, they are not available to the children in terms of their educational needs, in terms of their basic care needs, children, the house is not a house of a family, a home environment. Children more likely to seek this outside. They're more likely to look for these things outside more than, because you are not there for them. That could be one influencing factor. If you are not at home, if you are a parent who concentrate more of your work and your availability of being earning your own needs rather than your children's needs, then your children are more likely, particularly we're talking about children who are in their teenage years. When children are in these years, for example, first year in secondary is a cool year. Year 8 is a cool. By the moment they reach year 9, year 10, year 11, going up, if you are not available as a parent to sit down with yours or make sure your children do their homework, do things, they lose interest in the education. And the moment they lose interest, then this is where they get that interest outside. I have done this research where I know that in schools, they let the children who do underperforming, they sit together. And then the ones who are doing well sit together.
Really?
Yes. So now, if underperforming children are sitting together, and then the ones who are doing well sit together, and even most parents, I'm not sure if you've done it before, but most parents do tell their children, when you go to school, don't play with the ones who don't do well.
It's true.
They tell them, don't play with them, those who don't do well. Yeah. Now, the young, they become isolated. The stereotype, assumptions are made about them from the schools, from the people themselves. So these children feel that they can't do it. And the best way for them is to go into this. That is one. Two, your home. If you are not at home, maybe I'll give my brother a chance to talk, but you are not at home. Okay. If you are not at home and you are always at work, you know, a lot of parents these days, which you may understand, you have friends and relatives, you go to their house, their young people get their food, they take it to their bedroom. There's no communication, interaction, attachment there. So the young people are isolated in their own home. The parents are not encouraging them to do things in the community. Now these days, due to the government cutback, there's not many community activities out there. But if you're a parent and you have interest in your children, you can help them search for their interests, what they are interested in, to engage in it. Now they are isolated at home, they are bored. Another friend is want to encourage that area of work with them. So then they get enticed with going there, doing things. Obviously they will go. And if they go, then this is how they go. Then the other one is material things.
You're saying that they listen to the peers or the people out there more than the parents at home.
What happens is, if you are a parent, you are always at work. You are not meeting your children's needs. You're not there for them. So your children are not doing any activity. They get up, all they do these days is gadgets. They may be playing their games, they may be doing this, but they get bored afterwards. So now these gangs as well, when you go there, the lifestyle is different. You know, they are robbing. Every gang have their own motives. So if it's a gang who is involved in criminality, then obviously they get enticed with being rich very quick.
That's right.
So they go out. This is based on intelligence information. So they go out, these young people will go out, and then all they do is maybe cash point, robbing people, doing this. So then he's getting these things. And he's also getting fun. He's able to do a lot of things. He's walking freely in the parents. Where are the parents? So these young people, because you, the father or the mother, are not there for them, they get all these things outside. I mean, I've been in Westfield to talk to young people there, and you ask them, where are their parents? They tell you that they are home sleeping. Last 3 weeks, I went to pick my son. Yeah, okay. If I go on, I won't stop here, so you go on. Yeah.
Anyway, thank you. I think you've made a good point. Basically, I always say something that Mother Teresa said. He said, if you want to change the world, go home and love your family.
Yes.
Now, the law of every world, the law that we have in this world starts from the family. So the family just builds up to a system. So you come from the family, then you build a community to a town, wherever, a country. So you build all this platform. But now, like what my brother was saying, the basic foundation is broken down. Now, why is the basic foundation broken down? I think Gandhi said something that was very simple. He said poverty is the worst form of violence, right? So when you relate these sort of factors, it becomes something that's human dynamics, isn't it? So you got this human dynamics that there's never going to be a world where there's not going to be crime. Okay? Wow. It's biblical times. So you look in the Bible, wherever it is, in those times, wherever, up to now, there were crimes. But I think it's where we've got to that we are looking at. Now, in the old days, I think people used to go about and say children were defranchised because they were not getting enough things to do. I totally disagree with that. Why do I disagree with it? Because, like my brother said here, when you go to all the schools, you go to the organizations, you go within the community, there's so many things set up for children to engage into. You know, I mean, I'll give you an example. I think my son is just going into secondary school. So I went to a secondary school the other day, and I was looking at the children, and I said to myself, how can a child fail in this country? Why did I say that? I said that for a basic reason. The setup there is made for you to succeed. It's not made for you to fail. Now, we come to the dynamics whereby we bring the parents in. Now, so if we got a good setup, what do we need to make that child a success child? Because now, the only way a child gets into a gang or becomes violent is when they feel their mindset is, I'm neglected, nobody cares about me. So now you get this thing of peer pressure sets in, and now peer pressure, the moment it sets in, there's no way going back. I would look back probably maybe about 25 years ago. I was involved with sort of like a youth setup community somewhere in Battersea. So I used to visit what do you call it, Feltham, the youth center. I used to visit there quite a lot of times. I've been there probably about 6-7 times. I mean, you get all sorts of demarcations there, you know, blacks, whites, blah, blah, blah. But let's face it, the gun and crime situation in London is not a crisis. It's a concern. Why is it a concern? Because it becomes a concern because when you're looking at it and say, look, we've done everything for you to succeed. Why can't you take that opportunity? It's a matter of grabbing the opportunity and be visionary. Because you got kids, you know, you go to some of these schools, you got kids who are just black kids just like you. You grew up in the same community and they are excelling in what they do. And you ask yourself, what's the difference between you and him? But it boils down to what my brother you said. If you, the parent, you don't invest in the child, because as a parent, you have to be visionary. You have to have a vision. You have to have a focus. If you look at it that poverty is something that you can never get rid of. So when you talk about poverty and use that as an excuse, you're just lazy. So what do? You don't need poverty. You don't need money to look after your child. You don't need money to change the culture. Money can never change the culture. So what do? What are the incentives that you do? Like what you said, engaging with your child. You know, you talk to your child in the morning. You talk to your child wherever. I mean, I think my son is in year 6, and I used to give him money every morning. So I found out that I did that as a try because I thought I pick you up from school. From the point I drop you and where I pick you up, there's no shop within that vicinity. Mm-hmm. So I'm looking at it, how do you spend your money? Anyway, one time he got me panicking. How? Because I found out that he didn't have the money on him. I said to him, what have you done with the money? He said, I don't know. So I was like, hold on. Now, I hear little stories here and there that you get children even within the setup. You know, a school is just like what the word says. You go there to gain knowledge.
Yes.
But what you have to remember, knowledge is in 2 ways.
Yes.
Isn't it? The good side of it and the bad side of it.
Yeah.
So if you take knowledge to be just about success, then I think you've got the whole thing wrong. So you get into that thing, you're always going to get a black sheep. Somebody, like what you said, if a classroom, they've told him you don't do well, so you are in this group. These group people are retarded. So I in there, no confidence, I'm thinking, whoa, why am I bothering with education? So all I'm going to do is distract the people who are doing well. And the teacher is going to walk me out of the class or say, play outside. So this thing becomes a situation where it manifests itself gradually. So now this child is being dropped out because I used to remember they used to have, I don't know if you recall when in this country they used to have a school especially for ASBOs, children who were bad. Yeah. And I used to think, why do you do that? Because now what you've done is an outcast. So I decided to do a research into it. And I found out that most children who go into ASBO, 60-70% of them end up in prison.
Yes.
10% of them, 10 to 15% of them commit crime of assault. But the other, guess what? They commit suicide because they just feel like everybody's neglected them. And it goes back, I think a boy was killed somewhere in West Ham recently. It was one of the West Ham academies. You know, he went there Now, the sad thing was, during this guy's funeral, no parent turned up. There wasn't a mother, there wasn't a father.
Really?
It was just his friends. And when you look at the friends, the people that he's associating himself with, I'm always with the logic. You know, I've always had this thing and said, well, I think, I'll go a bit biblical here, you know. When I think somewhere in Matthew 26, 51 to 22, Jesus said, put your sword in its place. For those who live by the sword, die by the sword.
Yeah.
So, why am I saying this? A lot of children who go out, who have knives on them, they don't intend to go and probably use the knife, from what I know. It's a protection for them.
Yes.
Because the few bad seeds in there
Fear, protection,
have given them
startup.
fear.
Yeah.
So even within their own community, they are fearful.
Yes.
You know, they can, you know, when we were young, we could go to the shop next door, we could do it. It doesn't matter what time of day it is. You could do that. You could pass in an alleyway, you don't have the problem. But these people are carrying this thing for fear. And now, the moment you have a knife and I have a knife, what happens? You know, because I have to defend myself. I could be the good guy, I could kill somebody. I could be the bad guy, I could end up killing somebody as well. But how does this problem resolve itself? My issue most of the time comes down to, let's imagine there was a spread of disease in London. You know, there's an epidemic of a sort. What is the first port of call that is going to happen? I think they're going to say, you know what, we're going to have to vaccinate everything and everybody stay indoors, don't come out and don't do this. So I'm looking at it and thinking, if statistics is showing that this area, something bad is happening, okay, you know what, a certain time of the night or a certain day, kids shouldn't go out, there's a curfew of a sort. But in the society we live, it goes against something. It goes against a human.
Police.
Look, can I ask a question back? I mean,
What you are saying, when you finish, we want to go on to that,
yeah.
please.
So if with this have a knife and have a knife, or with this issue about fear, why don't we teach these children, this youth, to go and tell somebody? And if they tell somebody, are they doing anything about it? Because it could be, we cannot say everyone is trying to have a knife.
I think you make a good point there.
I'll have an example here. I've had a child in a school, and one of them had an issue, and he always complaining to the teacher. But the teacher didn't take any notice of it until the child herself also did something. And then the child says, I've been coming to you all the time. Nothing is done. And that's how one of these things comes out.
Yes, the thing is that not all the children who carry knives intend to use it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But research suggests that children, although the ones who actually carry it without the intention of using it, are more likely to be harmed by it. And in many cases, they get serious, they can have a serious injury. But your question is a good one. Why don't they tell somebody?
Yeah.
It's a very good question. A child who is being bullied, in many cases, if you are a parent who don't have that relationship of trust with your children, some parents don't communicate with your children except to eat and things like that. Have you eat your food? Have you do this?
Have you done your homework?
Have you done your homework? Yes. You need more than that. You need to be able to put yourself in your children's shoes to understand how they are feeling. You need to be able to say to yourself that your children are comfortable. You are warm to your children and they are also comfortable to be able to tell you everything. Because if not, or a member of a family within your network who this child is so comfortable and talk to. But if you think that maybe a number of factors could stop this, it could be a disability, because parents could have a disability as well. Could be a learning disability or other things that could stop them from doing this. But that you are informed, maybe a member of family to assist you, or a role model to assist you within this process. Because if you don't have that relationship of warmness with your children, believe me, they won't tell anything. And a lot of parents in secondary school, particularly, I know I'm not being stereotypical here or making assumption, but from my understanding, a lot of parents in whereby their children feel that they are even more smarter than them becomes a problem. Particularly, it could be a parent who can't read. It could be one factor or another, they are kind of lacking some basic skills. you know. So then these children are saying to themselves that they think they are more smarter than you. Then they start taking advantage. So they won't go, if they have a problem, they go to their peers rather than coming to you. So we have to take note here as parents to build that relationship of trust with our children so they can come to us.
Yeah, but it's a good point to say that. You know, let's face it, as parents, some parents need parenting themselves.
Yes.
Do you understand my point? Some parents need parenting themselves. Okay, I'll give you an example. I used to work a bit in the IT field where you go to people's house and then, you know, you've got a computer there, you've got a password on there, and then you go, oh, Jerome, for password, you know, my uncle. But this same parent have forgotten one thing. He's got his bank details set up, a lot of things on the computer. Now, what he's forgotten is maybe, you know, because in the modern world, the spectrum that we live in now, social media plays a big part in our lives. You know, social media is something that we can never ignore. You know, the sort of things that a child can do on the social media is very scary. And at the end of the day, I think what parents, like what you were saying, brother, some parents immune themselves from that. Like, you know, I mean, let's face it, you are illiterate. You never went to school. But I mean, I deal with computers, I've dealt with computers, I've been in IT. You don't have to be educated to use a computer. I know people who are 70, 80, 90 years old who use computers, send emails, send whatever, socialize on social platforms and stuff. But the engaging, I think, is the core of our problem. Because when you engage people, like we engage the child, you know, so let's say every child is engaged.
Yes.
How are you going to go outside and do something wrong? You know, because if something happens, because when they go to school, I mean, the schools, let's give credit where it's due. The schools will do their best to have a setup where if children are being bullied, in the olden days, it was very visual, it was very physical, you could see everything in your eyes. But now, every school that you go to more or less have got a setup of a sort to deal with those kind of problems. You know, teachers get complained to because they look at it like they are not trained to be in a form of looking after somebody who is being bullied. They are more trained. I think recently it came up that most teachers should have those kind of training, because there are times where a child says something to a teacher, he just ignores it and thinks, oh, you're only a child, it's all right, don't worry, he will not do it again. Maybe call the person involved and say, look, don't do this, don't do that, and then ignore it. And if this person is persistent in what they want to do, they will do it anyway. You know, so it becomes a problem where the parenting, I think most of these things, you know, sometimes I sit down and I say to myself, why do we blame police? Why do we blame the government? They are all partners, they are all stakeholders. But the basic of bringing up a child should be from the home. Now, if you bring a child up in a way, you didn't use any user manual, there's no book, I've never heard of a book that says how to bring up a child. I know about how to be a millionaire in a week or in a year, but not that way. So it's how parents, as parents, we sit up and say to ourselves, because the reason why I'm saying that this is not a crisis is when you look at places, I'll give an instance. I was looking at certain things yesterday and I said to myself, isn't this strange? Scotland, Glasgow, the north part of Glasgow used to be the murder capital of Europe. I was wondering why. And these people involved in these crimes were not black children. They were white. So I'm saying to myself, why is London become an issue? Because I know knife crime happens in Leicester, it happens in Birmingham, it happens in Manchester, Moorside, and all these kind of places. But there's been so much highlight on these things because it's something that is just all of a sudden just boomed up. Because I think for the past the surge is gone up about 30%. You know, because now children have become so endowed in things that they think we are in control, we know what to do. You know, but I'm looking at it that we have a lot to answer for ourselves as parents. We have a culture that our children come up in. Yeah, they could grow up to be what they want to be. They could come up to be what they want to be. But they have to be on the straight and narrow line where they are basically led in a way. Because you as a parent, you are the first teacher of your child. So you have to be a very good exemplary. How you talk to your child, how you relate with them, how you engage with them. You know, how many children, probably the children come back from school and say, how was school today? 9 out of 10, probably. Well, I would say 9 out of 10. Most parents probably, nobody's home. The child just comes home, drop his bag, and do what he wants to do.
There's something I needed to ask here. I mean, ask you about, it's a good point. About our children go to school. I mean, between the hours of 8 to 3 o'clock or 3:30, right? They are with the teachers, and I'll come back to that. But as parents, the children, even if they spend more time with us, we have issues with our own children because they challenge us.
Yeah.
But when a teacher challenges a child, right, comes home and say this to the mother or the father, the next morning you will hear the school, the parents will run to the school, right? So the parents some of the parents, we let the teachers or the kids know that they are in control. Because whatever they say, when we run to the school, and then we go and make complaints. I know there's a typical good, I mean, ones that you have to go to the schools, but there's some that you can overlook. But we run to the school, and then when they run to the school, in front of the child, they're shouting at the teacher. So what do you think the child is going to do to the teacher?
I mean,
so with the teacher, if the child is doing something wrong in his class, do you think he or she is going to say something?
You want me to go? That one, it's a good point.
I'll come back to that.
That's why I said
it's a good point. But what I want to say before you say anything on that one is that we have to take in mind that the school is there to teach, not to parent. And the role of parenting the child is you as a parent. But some parents, we just making clarification of this, so people, our audience will understand that the role of the school is to teach the children. However, they have understanding of safeguarding matters. The teachers have been trained to have understanding of safeguarding matters or child exploitation, so they can then make referral to children's services, should there anything. But the role in terms of the school, before you go on, is to teach the children. A lot of parents think that the school is there to parent the children, and that is where the confusion is. You know, so they confuse the two together. So you can go on with your point.
For everyone watching us, we're still on the personal. We're not going here, but I mean, we want you to share this message with all of your friends. I mean, everyone that's watching this, you can share them, call them to watch, because this is very important for us. It's for me, it's for you, it's for everyone watching this program. And if not, well, we want peace. So Kofi, you can continue.
A very good point about the school and the confusion around there in terms of parenting, and you mentioned it. I think you said something like the social media. You brought about social media and how parents are in the 21st century, they kind of struggling to have understanding of social media. Then you mentioned about the parents in terms of how many parents are having difficulty in terms of caring for their children. Now the issue here is this, that there is no one formula of bringing up children.
No.
You know, there is no one formula, and different coaches, you know, and some are young, they have their children maybe at the age of 16, some have 17, 18, some have them at older age. But the question is that how well do people understand how to parent your child? You know, who did you take that skill from? Who did you take that style from? What sort of influence do you have in terms of parenting?
Hold on. You have to continue on this, but you know, you will have a mother, 50 years or 40 years, right? Still acting like somebody who's 18 and just have a child.
Thank you very much.
This is why I mentioned this point, so that it becomes more interesting.
You see, because there's something very interesting here. You see, like when we talk about parenting, I think in the dynamics of humans, okay, we have something we call maybe SWOT. I don't know if you've heard of SWOT before, SWOT.
Yes.
So you've got strength,
yes,
you've got weakness, you've got opportunity, and you've got threat.
Yes.
So as a parent, you should be able to sit down, look at your child, and say, what are the dynamics that he's got? What are his strengths?
That's it.
What are his weaknesses? What does he like to take opportunity of? And what threat has he got?
Yes.
You know, so when we have little things like that, it sets a little parameter for us to look in there, because we don't need to have a big telescope and look through it. Because look, human beings, we grow, we generate. What I was thinking yesterday, I might not think the same today. So in that aspect of looking at things, we have to set a certain barrier that makes it easier for us to control what's in front of us. But like what you said, a lot of parents need parenting themselves.
Yeah.
Whether it's the male,
whether it's a female.
whether it's the female. You know, there are certain aspects about our culture that personally I never agree to. But at the end of the day, people come back from wherever they come, their background, Ghana, Nigeria, wherever. I guess this is not going to just Ghanaian community. So I guess
this is all community.
All the community. Yes. So now you come back from this background, and the lifestyle they live, they want to basically replicate it here, live the same lifestyle. It's not going to end up. Why? Because when I remember back home, when I was being brought up, anybody in the community sees me doing anything wrong, they'll call me and smack me. Nobody can do that in this country.
No.
You can't do that. So there was a sort of order in that place. But even that, when you look back, there were still bad boys, there were still bad girls. That's not my point. So the dynamics tells us that, how do we as parents say, look, let not our children be part of the statistics. They should be more of the success. They should be more of the vision. But how do we give our children the vision? Now, there's a preset notion that the authority, children, parents lack confidence in the authority. Now, why did they lack interest in the authority? Because there are things that have happened historically that people look back on and relate to it. And I'm saying, I always have a word I say that you cannot use the economics of 60s to control the 21st century. It doesn't make sense, because in the 60s, there was no such thing as technology. Now, most things or most business are done online. So, come the end of the day, you have to adapt to the environment that you've got yourself into.
A lot of them are adopted to the environment. A lot of parents are adopted. You know, they grew up here. They born here. The issue is that it's not only people, I would say, or excuse me to say, foreigners whose children or migrants whose children are in prisons for this. No. You know, either being a victim or a perpetrator. You know, so it's all nationalities.
That's right. Yeah.
And the main issue is exploitation of children and how, as parents, our understanding of this exploitation in the 21st century, managing parenting. Because parenting have changed. To me, parenting have changed, and therefore, how well are we in tune as parents in terms of the challenges ahead? Do you, as a family, have a family structure, for instance, that help bring the children together? Do you have a family meetings? Do you understand your children in terms of saying that, say, for instance, this month, this is what we are doing, next month, this is what we're doing? Some parents will spend money on holidays. However, they will not spend money on their children's education. Then the child is missing. Some parents will buy clothes, expensive clothes, when they are young for their children. As they are growing older, the children know the difference between fake and original. Original for them. You can't be going to Gucci and all these things, buying these things for them.
That's right.
So now the child then has got a habit
that you have to sustain.
That's it. So now how are you gonna sustain it? How you gonna be buying 600 pounds, 700? So then they got friends outside who may entice them into this life, who may then be pulling them into this. You see a parent whose child is bringing money home. The child don't work.
That's right.
Now you see them with new clothes, everything. You didn't buy it for them, but you ignore it. You see parents who know their children are not working, but borrowing money from their children. You see them with buying a car, but you didn't buy it for them. So then you don't say anything. All these things are things that entice the children from outside in terms of drug dealing, because you know your child is involved in things, either smoking cannabis or dealing in cannabis, you don't say anything.
Keep going on, I'm listening.
Yes. So how do you stop your children from engaging in these things like you saying? How do we give our children the better vision, you know, to enlighten them in terms of the future? You know, we need to set an example ourselves. We need to set an example. We need to be an example for our children. It's a challenge for us as parents. Right, we need to say to ourselves that, you know what, you know, let us update our knowledge. Let us lead a life which our children will also see us, because you can't be saying something, one thing, and doing the other. A lot of teenagers will tell you that this is what you're saying, but this is what you are doing. A lot of teenagers will tell you about this. I mean, I heard that a lot in our community now, most people traveling with alcohol with them. Now, if you are drunk all the time, how are you going to get time to parent your children?
You know? But you know the funny thing you said that with this alcohol, you see some of these young boys walking about with a bag around their neck, and you look in there and they've got Jack Daniel's small bottles, and I'm like, how is that possible? You know, that's not possible. But like what you said, it could be something exemplary from their parents. They're looking at their parents, what the parents are doing, and then they are taking off from there. But you know, it's a major concern, because it's good that we engage ourselves in this kind of platform, because the people who have been through issues there, here and there, you know, I think somewhere, was it last week, a guy got killed somewhere in Battersea. Just for, I used to live actually just opposite that side. I think Ron Atkinson Court. And what did he do? Because this was a parent who was just trying to defend his community. He was just standing up for his community. Now people come in and say the police are this, the police are not doing their work. But I mean, if you put a policeman to every house or every estate and say they should guide it, there's still going to be crime there. Because that policeman will have to move, unless they're going to do it like the change of the guard at Buckingham Palace or something like that. There's not going to be a solution. But the children, I think we need to engage more with our children. We need to engage more with our children. The community, you have to engage more with the children, because some of these children, I think if you probably ask them, what do you want to do? They are like, what do you mean? What do you mean, what do I want to do? Because in his head, when you say to him, what do you want to do? It's like, are you a fool or something like that? I don't want to be a teacher. I don't want to be working in Tesco's. I don't want to be a scientist. I want to make my money quick. You know, because, hey, he's got a bike worth 600 pounds, 700 pounds. I need to get one of those bikes.
That's right.
He rides on them. Like what you're saying, you know, the parents, the children bring money home to them. Oh, mommy, can you save this money for me? And they
are not working.
Yes. Mommy, can you save this money
and they are not working.
And now daddy will come up and say, oh, so and so SSS, you know, I need 2,000 pounds to buy my car. Lend me some money. And I'm looking at it as a man of the house. How do you engage in something like that?
With your own child.
With your own child. Because you know where the child is going to school. Even if he's a dropout, he's not working. Even if he works at Tesco's or he works in Sainsbury's as a till or shelfer or wherever it is, how does he put 2,000 pounds together and give it to you as a dad? Is that the right avenue to take? You know, so, you know, I always have a belief that there's so many dynamics, but I keep saying to myself that let me be part of the minority than be the majority of the statistics, because that's not what I want my child to grow up to be. But we as a community, we've got a lot to answer for that, because the sort of things that we have to be doing to engage our children, we actually intend to actually use it to do enjoy us, whether it's party today, whether it's this. But these things are not engaging our children, because I think I went to one of the Ghanaian parties somewhere in Broadwater Farm, and just as I was going to the car park, I saw something very funny, and I said to myself, ooh, that's a cool one. There's a big flat near Broadwater Farm called Riding House.
Yeah.
So I'm going to my car, and I see a bunch of kids standing there, dealing in drugs. And as soon as they saw me, the guy on the bike just got on his bike.
And with those ones with a moped.
Yeah, this was actually a push bike.
Okay.
So he just wrote about. I just went. To be honest with you,
And they hide them in their rooms,
Yeah,
in the family homes,
yeah,
and the
I was
parents
scared.
keep quiet about it.
I was scared, because I was like, how can this be happening here at this time? So you imagine your child living in that environment.
There's something also that we should also know as parents. With this youth, right? And we have to be also intelligent, because some of them, the faces they have in the house is different from the one they have out there.
Of course, yeah.
So they could be doing all this, as you said, right? As a parent, you might not know. So even last week, I even did mention that. I mean, as a parent, there's nothing wrong with you going to the child's room and there's just search. When they're going out, you say, "Let me see what's in your bag. Let me see what we brought in."
Search them when they are not in the house.
Yes.
Yeah. Or if even they are there, go to their rooms and search. But you make a very good point here. That how do we know your children?
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard parents saying that their children are going to their friends. They don't know. They're going to a party. I've developed a habit of dropping a child there to that party and knowing that the party is actually what happening. If they're going no, then you have to start worrying. This is where we were saying that our commitment our interest in our children. Now they tell you they're going to a party. You said you want to drop them. They say no. Then you have to know that this party, you have to stop. You can't go. The issue is here. I went to one place 3 weeks ago, and you know what happened? I said to the mother, "Why are you doing inviting young people, 14, 15, 16 years old, and doing a party?" You shouldn't be doing that. You should start early. So we want parents to encourage the community to say that these are young people. You should not start party for a young 14-year-old 6 and 9 o'clock, 7 o'clock, and finishing 2 o'clock. Some of them, when they finish, they have to travel themselves.
Yes.
Right. And go home, and they meet things which is very, very. And some parents don't even bother to care. To me, the moment a child carry a knife, we as a community, we have failed them. So it's our parenting.
It's there's one thing that is, I say that, for you to understand, for you to resolve a problem, you have to understand what the problem is.
Yes.
And like what you're saying, I think most of the parents don't understand what goes on. Now, why do they not understand it? I've just got one point that they don't understand it. I'll give you a very simple this thing. I go to many houses. Someone lives in a house. There's BBC News on there. He's got his radio on Adum FM. So he leaves home, listen to Adum FM in Ghana, come back home in the evening, listen to Adum FM.
That's right.
In Ghana. Now, I'm looking at it. What opportunity have you missed? So let's say something happened on the street behind your road, and it was on the news that so and so happened at this place. You are not aware of it. So that's why I said some of our parents, we need parenting ourselves, because we will fail. We have basically failed. Now we have failed. Most of our parents have failed because most of us as parents have failed. For the bare reason is there is an excuse, but I always say to myself, those excuses doesn't make sense. When you've had 60 years of independence and you've not your colonial masters, you have a problem. Why am I saying that? I'm saying that maybe we have to look at maybe where we grew up, how we grew up, the environment that we grew up in, maybe back home. When most of us got here, we were young, we were not exposed to many things in life. So as we grew up gradually, we had children, and then we became parents, and now we get into that conundrum of having to look after these children. And then we basically lost, because we are more interested in throwing up a first birthday party or communion or this kind of parties than thinking, what is my plan for this child? What vision have I got for this child? What is my expectance of this child? So we don't challenge ourselves enough, because we want to be restricted in where we came from and use that as a lineage to basically excuse ourselves.
We do use that excuse by saying, where we from? Where we from? Where we from? Meanwhile, the most people that even use that word, where we from, 10 years they've not even been in Ghana.
Well, some of them 20 years.
They're still using where we from.
Do you both feel that some of the challenges is that our focus, instead of on the children, is on ourselves, whereby maybe as couples or as partners, that everyone is doing their own thing, that there's high tension at home. And so instead of concentrating on the children, it's outside. And also domestic violence could be a factor.
Domestic violence,
of course, yeah.
Domestic
And
violence.
single parenting.
It plays a big
Okay,
part.
so let me ask this question, right? I forgot this here, and I wanted to ask that. You guys you've been great. So the question, my next question is: does single or broken upbringing brings more impact to this knife king?
It does in a way. It does in a way. You know, I keep going to the Bible. Just I'm not a pastor, you know, but I keep going to the Bible because I guess when I was young, I was made to believe that you want wisdom, you have to read the Bible. So if somebody reads the Bible and they don't have wisdom, then they have a problem, you know. So everything goes there to the Bible. We go back in biblical times, and we look at it. It says parents, broken homes. Where is it? I mean, when you go to Genesis, it's gonna tell you God created man. Okay, and God created a woman as a helper. Whatever theological way people want to look at it, God created two people, you know, in unison, and these two people bear fruit. And before this bear fruit, you know, there's something that interests me most of the time that I hear pastors probably preach in the Bible that they don't use, and it scares me because I'm saying to myself, the Genesis says, in the beginning was the Word. So before your formation, the Word was there. So you don't come and change the world. Yeah? But this is a situation where we become so devout in our own thoughts that we've ignored that word. You know, now if we have a unison, okay, I'll give you an example. I'm a dad. I come back from work. I see my son, and the first thing I say to him is, "Where is your mom?" So who am I then? I'm not a stranger.
You are.
I'm asking my own son, where is your mom?
Yes.
Why am I asking him that?
You shouldn't, yeah.
I shouldn't be asking my son, where is your mom? I should be asking my son, where is mommy? Because I have to show that child that there is a mommy, and when mommy relates to me as daddy, there's a daddy. So there are two people in the house who are mommy and daddy. But when you come up and say, where is your dad? You separated. But you know, it's come up because it's something that is entrenched in us culturally. Back home, I used to recall, maybe you hear your mom or your dad say something like, "Oh mommy way, oh papa way," you know. And as I grew up, I'm thinking, why do we say that? Because a child growing up in this system, sometimes if they far-fetched with a way of thinking, think deep and think, why are you saying where's my mom? So what? She's the only person who's taking care of me. No, it's where is mommy. So these little things that goes on in the house, it doesn't show a united front. A child, like I used squat as an example, a child will always play an opportunity. Yeah. And you play both parents, they know you are not united.
Yeah.
Because he's gonna come up to you and say this to you, and go up to the mom and go and say this. So he's gonna play you up. Yeah. So you as the parent, there's no circumstance where a mom should be talking to the child and a daddy batting and say, "You keep quiet, I'll take over here." No. Let her finish with what she's saying with the child. If it's anything, call her to the room and say, "You know what, maybe I think you were being a bit unfair to this boy. So if you can, just go back to him and try and renegotiate with him about what you said." Vice versa, if it's the dad, you the woman, do the same thing back. Don't do it in front of the child. But then when you do it in front of the child, and the child knows that there is no unity between you two, how is the child going to bring up? Now, this is where the third party comes in
and play that part.
Because that third party, the guns that he joined outside, the gun, don't forget, some of these guns, when they join it, they swear blood of oath.
Yes.
Where a lot of things happen. They do things together, they'll stand up for you. I mean, look, there was a killing somewhere in Mitcham. I learned the killing was nothing to do with drugs. It wasn't anything to do with money. What was it to do with? It was two friends who played together in primary school 20 years back. Who one of them used to befriend a girl, and they had a problem that he wanted the girl and he went for the girl. So this thing dragged on all through these generations, and they were arguing about it. 20 years time, they were arguing about it. He took a knife, just stabbed him, and then it became a generation game. Okay, he's from the south side, he's from the west side, so you know, we're gonna take our revenge. So this revenge thing is gone on, and sometimes when you look at things that bring these things to light.
So, but he's asking, what he's saying is, does a single broken or broken upbringing have more impact on a knife crime? And to me, it depends on a number of contributing factors that could then let this happen, because there has been single parents who has been successful, and I have to say that a number of people are bringing up their children on their own, and the children are very successful. Yes. This depends on your network, in terms of the network you have.
Very important.
You know, who in terms of your family, extended family members, you know, you that's it. The people who are around you, role models. You know, if you have a role model, you know, your children. If you are a single parent bringing up children now, you know, whereby you may be a single mother, you have 4 children or 2 children or 1, you know, and you have your own needs to meet. Sometimes it can be difficult in terms of childcare arrangements and other things. You may take your child to a family home whereby you feel you are safeguarding your child in terms of so that you are able to do your work. But then the attitude, the behavior in that house, you know, where your child is going to pick her, is so kind of not comfortable. You know, so have you assessed all these things? You know, do you know where your child, you're taking them while you are trying to make your daily bread? You know, so all these arrangements in terms of the arrangements around you, role models, you know, who is supporting you to care for your child? Do you have somebody that the child can look up to as that may be in terms of the child learning, respecting the community, you know, what they are doing, they are an example for the child. Then you're talking about factors like your own motivation and interest. You know, I mean, some parents know their children are not doing well in school. They themselves. But then you have other parents who may get a teacher or go to the school and say, my child is not learning. You need to give me that support. You need to help him. This he's not able to do this homework. Show him an example of it. You know, so the parent motivation and communication, working with external agencies, the community, this is what will help you as a parent to be able to bring. So you may be a single parent, they may be doing well than a couple who lives together. Because a couple,
one-on-one with them.
I've heard cases where a father is gambling with his money, you know, and don't even come home and sleep. Now, does he see his child? No.
But there's a lot of families also, especially, within our community, as we saying it, you put in your head, you know 1 or 2 people that you will click in your head. That especially the mothers or fathers, they don't want their children to play or to have friends because they don't want to mingle with anybody. All they do is work home, and they think the children should be work home as well.
No. It's dangerous.
That's child abuse.
Yes, and it's dangerous.
That's child neglect. That is totally not right.
It's dangerous.
But you know it does happen.
It does happen.
Okay,
of course.
With children's services, they may not specifically take it if they feel that they don't want their child to socialize with certain people. It's very difficult to intervene, but the parents can be advised that the child engaging in an activity. Some parents may enroll their child with swimming, that the child is doing something in the community, or even playing football. But remember, they play football, and that time they play the football. After that, they are home. So then that is not an abuse per se. However, is you stopping the child from interacting with other people, which then could impact on the child. It isolates the child from what is happening in the community. It's important for your children to explore and expose them in these things, but it has to be done in the right manner. This is what I'm saying to you. Would you allow your child, now knowing that in Bristol there are 32 gangs there, right? Now your 15-year-old, when they say they're going out, I believe you want to know where he's going and when he's coming home. You're not going to leave him to go like that. Because you feel that, and you don't want this to be a constant pattern where maybe at 8 o'clock your son will say to you, oh, I'm going to a friend. You may want to drop him because you feel that you need to minimize it. And I believe that those parents doing that are trying to minimize the risk. But they also kind of don't know how to go on about it. I remember talking to a friend who said to me, oh, his son is going to spend a night.
A night over, yeah. Sleep over, yeah.
But I said, have you been visit there?
Yeah.
He said to me, no. I said, you not been there? He said, no. I said, go to the house. Though when he went to that family home, he came back and said, no, he's not still going there.
No, this is true.
I said, why?
It's totally true, yeah.
I said, why? He said, there is only one bed there for a start. So his son will have to share a bed. Now, we're not saying they're going to do anything silly or anything, but that is one, not appropriate.
No.
Two, the house, there's not much food there. Different adults. So many adults stay in the house. So many different adults. And in terms of child sexual exploitation, you don't know what's going to happen.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you are exposing your child to danger.
All right. So 1 second now. I mean, everyone listening to us, we're still on this gun and knife crimes. You can also reach us on our number 0044 7944 346028. Or you can WhatsApp us. Our email is also there. We're still on. So when you're ready, when you can share as well, we're here. Kofi, you mentioned something about about
32 gangs in Lambeth.
Yeah.
Yes, but this side as well. When you move from Lambeth and you move out here, from Sadek here, this area, the Peckham, Camberwell, they also have 26.
Yeah.
26 gangs. If you go to Newham, they have 27 gangs.
Whoa.
In Tottenham, they have 32.
Right. So
so if you are a parent,
just
you have a laissez-faire approach in terms of your motivation. Then you are placing your children at risk.
One of my questions were going to be that, do you think the area also contributes?
Yes.
But you just no.
Yes. The thing is, a lot of parents are taking their children out of area, thinking that, I'm going to Leicester to live. I'm going to Bristol to live. But they also have crime there.
Of course.
Yes.
So what you need to do is, instead of running from the area, reflect on your own style of parenting. Your style of parenting. You need to reflect on it. And then look for a way forward around that. Spend quality time with your children. If you mean you have to pick them from school and bring them home. Rather than, then look for a different job. Because the more quality time you spend with your children and guide them, the more right path they will take. If you remember, I was saying that some children are not doing well at school and some are doing well.
Yeah.
Now, if they group them and you are a parent and you don't even know your child is in a lower group, and then you don't know nothing about it. Now, another parent, this is just an example, whereby this child will go home, then there is drug dealing going on, there is issues about antisocial behavior, the parents, which you don't know.
That's right.
Now your child keep on going to that address, and then you say, "Oh, my son, he's gone with his friend."
He's gone for a sleepover.
What do you do?
He's gone for a sleepover.
We as parents, I think we kind of get ourselves caught in all these things because, especially last week's program, somebody did mention about, how parents are leaving their kids to go for work, especially, and then I had a call back from another viewer, and then saying that this has been there all the time. But I did interview the youth, the young adults, and this person was able to say that me and my brother, the only time we get to go out is when our parents go to work at night. So the parents never knew until that day when we did the interview.
Okay.
Which, this is what I'm saying. Having insight of your children in. One, you the parent, you are not safeguarding your children in terms of protection. You are leaving young children at home on their own. It's very serious risk. Because even some young people, what they do is some parents actually lock doors to prevent their young people going home while they are inside the house with them. Because there was a situation whereby a parent think that the child is at home. The next thing they get a call to say this child is being harmed in the street. And they say, no, my son is not there. But when you go to the bedroom, he's not there. He's been harmed in the street. So even when you are there, what these young people are talking about, even when you are there as a parent, your child could go out. There was a situation whereby a mother felt that her car was outside, whereby a friend visited and said, when I didn't want to knock the door because I thought he was not in. But I saw the light and I knocked it. Where do you park your car this time? And then the mother look, her car is not there. Now her 16-year-old have even driven her car without her knowing. Because this boy knows, so your key is there. Would you expect that your son will ever, which have not gone to know driving lessons and everything, but here is the case, they've driven the car. Then the mother said, wherever you are, leave it because if not, I'm getting the police involved. These are some of the issues where we as parents, we face. But the thing is, if you sit down and then reflect on your style of parenting, talk to your children, you know, if they have interest, enroll them in the community. We should spend our money where it's due to get the best result for these children. You know, you cannot be chasing up your own dreams. Then your own needs overcome your children's needs. Your children's needs should be prioritized. I mean, in our community, we build houses, we do things, we do different things back home. But is that taking over more than our children? You know, these young people going out nighttime, for instance, if they are playing football in the daytime, if they're going to community centers in the daytime, if the parents are enrolling them, even inviting their friends, instead of them going there, they're coming to them, doing things daytime when they are there. Would they also want to do that? No.
The next question will be, do you think it's right for us as a parent to have a common discussions with our children? To know.
It's very, very, very important. It's very, very important. I think.
No, I don't mean the normal communication of questions. I mean the discussion, especially when you see or we hear about this gun and that.
Yes, you do, because you know I think was it somewhere in Holland that they did a survey or something like that, where the amount of pregnancy dropped by about 80%. By them just introducing sex education in the education system. And I think even in this country it started here now as well, isn't it? You know, because as a parent, you're going to have to talk to your child. You're going to have to understand your child. You know, you don't have to think your child should be like you. You could be a doctor, you could be whatever, any profession that you are, it's not relevant. What it is to talk to the child, engage with the child. Let him tell you what attracts to him. Let him tell you what his vision is. Let him tell you what he wants to do. You know, and that engagement shouldn't be a one-stop thing. You know, it shouldn't be a one-stop. It should be ongoing, because you are going to school with the child. You are picking him up from school. Those are very vital times that you can get certain things from your children. You know, but whereby a child you just think, oh yeah, you know, just sit around. When I want some, hey, get me water from the fridge. Hey, get me one of the beer from the fridge, and all that kind of thing. If you send him to get you beer from the fridge, obviously he's going to end up having some himself, isn't it? You know, so there's things that I think as parents, you know, we've come a long way. Let's face it, parenting is probably the hardest thing in the world.
Yep.
You know, because you are basically trying to read somebody's mind. you are basically trying to read somebody's mind on what reactions or things they will do or not do. And how do you actually control that environment? You know, it's never going to be easy, but like my big brother said, the commitment is the core issue. The commitment, because in life, anything you commit to, you will succeed. You see, if you don't commit to a cause and you think, oh, I'll say this today and say that tomorrow. I mean, let's face it. I mean, sometimes I'm a man. I think there's a lot of shortfalls in us as men. I don't see myself as a young man. I see myself as a grown-up man. But I think there are a lot of shortfalls in our this because the vital supports that we need, because we just think, oh, all we have to do is go and work, put money there, and then the woman take care of the children here and there, and that everything should be fine. So we have this machonistic attitude about life, which is not. Because in this modern world, when you go to the city, most women earn more money than men. So it's not an issue where you're going to think about earn more money. So I'll just leave everything. So you look at it. How does it work out that a father will live in a house? He'll probably never take his child to football. He'll never take his child to any activities. Everything is the mother, is the mother, is the mother. So that child is only got the mother to relate to. And then you put a lot of burden on the woman doing so. Because when you do that, this woman is carrying a burden of being a wife, being a mother, you know, doing her work and other things. So all these things just sometimes overwhelm. And sometimes this is what gets our women frustrated, to be honest. You know, in the society that we live, this is what sometimes gets our women frustrated. And we as men, sometimes, I think we have to up our level a bit because we are so much into our machonistic attitude, maybe looking back at our fathers and thinking...
I think you have to mention that again because they didn't hear you. You have to say that again.
No.
You have to say that again.
Because, there's a lot of things that go on where there's so much disinterest and you're asking yourself, how is that possible? Because, I always used to say, I look at something and say, when I leave home, before the last person I want to see before I go to bed is my child. I always check his bedroom to see if he's asleep before I go to bed. Even when I wake up to go to the loo, wherever it is, I'll open the door and check if he's there. Because as a parent, you are on a time bomb. You are always taking what is best for your child. What is some sleep and you have to go and adjust something, or he's probably slept, 1 foot is on the floor and his head is on the bed. So there's all sorts of things. So as parents, I think that is, we back home, when we grew back home, we never had those kind of these issues where you could actually go and sit down with your dad. Your dad used to look at your dad like some, I don't know, whether he was captain in the
Mighty Mountain.
You couldn't relate to your dad. You couldn't talk to your dad.
There's something, right, I would need to bring about. I mean, if you're going to contribute this, you can go on.
The question, the question, okay. What it is that I'll make it short, by making them know the consequences of their behavior. When we are at home, and our children and young people don't know that, okay, when they are involved in crime, they could be arrested, they could be prosecuted, and the consequences of their behavior. So that when they go outside, they are able to also understand that, my dad or my mom have spoken to me about these things, and these people trying to kind of, influence me, they know the consequences. And even some parents these days, our audience can do that as well. If you feel that you have young people, particularly teenagers, and you are struggling, another way of doing it is that talk to the community police. Call the police, talk to them in your area. Community police will come to your home. They will sit with your young people, and then they will let them know the consequences of their behavior. So in that way, they know that if I do this, this is what will happen. That normally can take the young person, they learn from it, and it can drive them away from crime.
Because in every system, it's very hard to eradicate something totally. There is a saying probably that they say that there's no such thing as 100% security, but you can minimize it.
That's it.
Because what we are looking at is the minimal impact. But with the minimal impact, you need a full commitment. So you're going to have return. Like my brother said, you are dealing with your child. So anything that bothers the child, sometimes the child talks to you and you think, oh, what you are saying is not important. Go away, I'm busy, I'm doing, because maybe I'm on the phone talking to you. No.
That's what I was going to say.
So now, if your child comes to you at a call time and says to you, Daddy, this and that and that, and then you go, go away. And then you finish, somebody's got you angry on the phone, you finish, go and put the phone down, your child, hey, we talk about this tomorrow, and go. Now, what you've done to that child, he's saying, it happens 1, 2, 3, he's not going to come back to you again.
No, that's it.
He's not going to come back to you, because what we have to understand, our children are very smart.
Yes.
Some parents look at children and say, they are fools. And I'm looking at it thinking, do you really live in the modern world? Because this modern
child,
these children in this modern world, this modern world children are very smart kids.
Yes.
Because sometimes my son, he's on the phone with his friends, and I'm basically passing by, and I stop to listen to him talking, and I hear some of the words he's using, and I'm like, are you serious?
They are.
You do this even on the bus.
Yes.
When the children are together, they don't. But when they're sometimes speaking like they're on the bus with their granny or somebody, they're talking to somebody, and you see how the conversation is going, you're thinking, wow, is that a child? You're looking at him thinking, is he really a child? So, we're going to have to attain certain height and think, we can deal with them. It's your child. You should be able to find a way to engage with him, involve him in everything that you do. Let's talk. Is there what, talk to me. What is there? How was school today? What happened? Tell me about everything. I might not ask you this every day, but let it be something that child knows. Daddy or mommy is going to call me and ask me, oh, when you went to the party, what happened? How was it? And you'll be surprised what some children will tell you.
Yes. Even they will come themselves and tell you. But I want to ask you something. Maybe you can then update our audience about rejection. Do you feel that a lot of parents feel their children feel rejected?
The children or the parents?
The children themselves feel rejected by their parents.
Yes. I mean,
in our community.
It's a good question you said that, but it's a good question. Good question you asked there. What it is?
Because the reason why I said this before I let you go in is that a lot of young people are telling me. Some of them are saying they don't even know their parents.
Yeah.
Because they don't really have anything.
But some of them,
that's a good point.
They should also know that the parents knows them. Because, I mean, come back to what I was going to say before. I mean, a mother or a father comes back from home and please, people listening to me, everyone, my brothers, my sisters, when we come back from work, we should put the phones down. We should put the phones down because as you said from earlier, when they go and they said they listen to what Adum TV, and then when they come back at Adum TV and it's there and the child is there, have you done your homework? And they put it back on and they go back. You know, so within that space of time, we should talk to our children, because last week this lady mentioned that, I mean, as you said, the kids want to talk to you, and you're on the phone. And you don't listen, and you think when you come back, when you finish your phone call, the child is going to talk to you. No, it's gone. Because they know you're not interested. So they will find somebody out there and talk to. As parents, as brothers, as mothers, as everyone, that nephews, uncles, whatever it is, we should all also educate ourselves, because this phone, this thing called phone, this social media thing is killing us. And we shouldn't blame anybody. We should blame ourselves. Because I'm playing my part, everyone is playing their part, but we think the part that we're playing is also good. And the parenting, nobody is qualified.
No.
Nobody's mastered to be a parent.
Can you list some of the things that the parents would know? So Facebook, then they go to Instagram, then they go to...
Well, as we coming to the end of this program, but I mean, I want you to advise us. I mean, especially you that you are in the field, that you're doing this all the time, right? And I've got this perfect gentleman here, I mean, father here, and then maybe me too, right? I mean, what can you advise us? Because it's your field, and you've been doing all this to help the community. People don't know. I mean, I always congratulate you on what you're doing, because it's not an easy task.
It's very, I mean, parenting, you just have to be a good enough parent. As a parent, what will make us a good enough? And I would say that my advice is for us to spend quality time with our children. And also to set up a date whereby, as a family, you can have a family meeting, you know. I mean, if you are separated, you can have these meetings separately, you know, try and get to know your children, what is going well for that month, what didn't go well for that month, and how you as a parent, you're going to help address it. And if you are separated as a parent, you know, try and build up, don't stop your children from seeing the other partner. So, I mean, there are cases where I have a friend where he gets up in the morning, his wife was gone because he met somebody in America, for instance. And over the years, this man has been caring for the children, and now the wife turned up. What do? You know, although you don't want to go out with her, don't stop her from seeing the children. Let her see the children. Those are no relationship breakdown. It's very bitter, and some of it can be very bitter. But you know, by stopping the other party from seeing the children, can only emotionally affect them. And the areas that maybe you are struggling will be the areas that they will help you to build up. Always consider that. And if you are a parent as well, we need to remember that we work. And when we work, we do training to help us to do our work well. You yourself, how do you update your knowledge and skills to help your parenting skills? In the 21st century, it have changed. The parenting style have changed. Don't depend on the old method. The old method is what is driving our children into all these things. You know, whereby they are involved in knife crime, gun crime, antisocial behavior issues. Why would your son or your child, your daughter, goes out and steal food in Asda or Tesco or Sainsbury's? You know, are you giving them pocket money? You know, are you giving them these things? So if we have to make a list, we will make a long list. But my advice is that let us spend quality time with them. If your children are going to places that their friendship group, try and get to know them. Try and visit them. You know, there are cases where children will say they're going to this family home. They don't even end up there. They are in the street. You know, if you are a parent, communicate with your children. Don't leave the children alone. You know, communicate with other people to care for them rather than home and alone. You know, why would you leave an 8-year-old alone at home on their own? Why would you want to do that? You know, let us support each other as a community.
Yes.
You know, let us support each other. They said it takes a community to do what?
To build a nation.
To build a nation. So the same thing we need to do, because at the moment we are failing our children because of our own lifestyle. You know, we have issues with alcohol, we have issues with gambling, we have issues with antisocial behavior, parties and things like that. We are spending the money on the different things rather than spending on the children. Let the children be our future. This is what I would say. All I would say is that let the children our priorities in life and reflect on our parenting. Ask your children. You know, this man, what do you think we could have done that would have helped us? Yeah, ask them. And even make fun at home.
Thank you.
We're gonna have to make fun. Yeah.
Do you have any advice for us?
I think he said a lot of what I was gonna say anyway. But I think one thing we have to basically, you know, I think some parents, maybe how they were brought up themselves, they have emotional health, psychological health, and I think they should more or less seek help.
Yes.
Because the society that we live in, there's so many avenues to get help.
Yeah.
You know, something, whether it's your doctor, whether it's a psychiatrist, you know, talk to somebody, even a friend. You know, anybody on this panel, the past lounge is there, you put something on there, maybe they can connect you up to the right avenue that connect. I think because that is very important, because some of the parents are using the emotional, like what you say, when they come like parents separate, either the woman or the man, they go so much through emotional health, psychological health, and this basically go. The person who loses out is the child.
Yes.
You know, because what you have to remember, whether you had the child by accidental birth, wherever, which I don't know what accidental birth can be, but I hear that used a lot. I never agree with that, but I hear people say accidental birth, but I try to work out how to define that logic. But, you know, whichever means, you brought somebody to the world, and you're going to have to let that person look up to you. How does he look up to you? How you behave. Your behavior is very important. How you talk. You know, you're sending your child for something. Give that child some ethics that he should basically engulf himself in. Because you know what? When you bring a child up that way, it's very hard for that child to go out and behave otherwise. Because, like I said in this thing, the first law of every land starts in the family.
Yeah.
You know, so if we as parents, you know, and it doesn't matter, we can be grown up wherever, we still have to engage with our kids. A lot of things to do with things, how we talk to our children, how we talk to our partners. We should try as much as possible to be peaceful, because when a child sees you and the mom or the dad sees you and the wife sees you and the dad fighting and all this argument, you know, children sometimes can decide for themselves who is right and who is wrong, but they don't want to come in there. And that's where they isolate themselves, because they think, you know what, you two, you've got your own problems, deal with it, you know. But we should try it's hard, you know, in a world, we are human beings. We are going to react to different things, but let us always make our children the focus of our life and say, look, this child, these children, we need them to come up, we look up to them to be our future, because they are the future. You know, if we don't see them as the future, then why did we have them? You know, so we have to try our best. And these things are very difficult things, because coupled with the environment we live in, we have to do with work, we have to take care of this, we have to do. There's so many things that we have to be involved in. You know, bills come in, you are working out how you are going to pay for it, and then you are thinking about how you are going to. But sometimes, let us just manage ourselves, because sometimes we have to get the right balance, because we are looking at so many avenues where we are thinking, like, bro, you said somebody's thinking more about my project I'm doing in Ghana, so I'm not investing. If I'm taking this child to the school, I'm going to pay £50 for his lesson. No way. That £50 a week, if I put it together, 200, that will buy me this amount of cement. You know, so these little things, we're going to have to basically come to a point where we say to ourselves, where do we want to go in this world? Where do you want to see us? Because there's nothing better than see your child grow up. You can look up to, even when you are in your old age. I've been to a few graduation this thing, and you could see the delight in some of the parents' face when the children go upstage to go and pick up their certificate. You could just see that they just look at it and think, you know what, whatever suffering I went through, it was worth it.
Yes.
You know. So.
Thank you, brother. For everyone listening to us, the Impasse Lounge is here to help everyone. We cannot solve this issue without you. As parents, as everyone, as the community, the government needs your help. Not just the government is going to do it without you. The government needs your help because they don't know what goes on in your house. As parents, I mean, with our children, when we see things change in their lives, we should be able to spot one or two things. They might not, as we said, the children have two lives, one outside, one inside. Yes, please listen to what they say, watch what they do, who they go to, what time did they go out, what time did they come back in, who are the friends they mingle with, what areas did they go to. We should all, as parents, we sit down and watch all these things, because without us, the children are going to go. We shouldn't blame it on the society that's out there. We should start blaming ourselves because they start from home and they go out. If your child listens to you a lot, and if you listen to your child a lot, I think one way or the other, some percentage of it will stay in our hearts. As parents, we shouldn't fail ourselves. And we shouldn't. Also, as the Impasse Lounge is here, you could also call us and then we could put you to the right people. If you can, inbox us at any time. We'll put you up to my brother here. He works a lot with the children, and I've got my brother here. He's into ITs, and then he can also, tell you a lot about what the child can do on the computer as well. As a parent, not every one of us knows about our computer, but a little bit that you know. Or if you want the mastermind, right? We got some of the masterminds here. You can contact us. We can put you through to him, and we are here to help the society. This Impasse Lounge is not just here to make money. It's here to help the nation, to help our children, to help ourselves. Because if we can sleep better, right, we can do better than that. Right. Thank you very much. We've come to the end of this gun and knife crimes. The next program will be put on the WhatsApp status, and it's going to be on the Facebook as well. Sadly, next week we're not going to have any show on, but we hope the following week we'll come back to you. My brothers here will come back again and share more, and they're still waiting for your questions as well. Thank you. My name is Odinoho Dimpa Kwabena Ejebedu.